Hey, Max here, Max Van Drucken. I'm going to be doing my first attempt of a movie review. I'm basically going to just go in order of, all my monster movies. Obviously starting with the Godzilla movies. Let me just tell you this, I know there's a much better version of Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's, the black case that says Godzilla on it, and it looks awesome, and I want it, but I don't have very much money, so if I already have one copy, no matter how horrible it is, if I have one copy, then I don't really feel the need to have another one, even if it does have more stuff on it that I want. I don't know if you hear that or not, but there's a humming noise that keeps buzzing in the background. It's a fan, and it's really annoying. I'm probably going to turn that off. It's really, really hot here, so there's like fans running. We don't have AC, so sorry about that. I'm going to see if I can turn it off. Well, the buzzing stopped, but if you still hear any humming, it's because of the fans. All right, well, let's get this over with. This is the original, of course, Godzilla King of the Monsters. I have this on the classic media version because this came in like a set with 5. It had this one. It had Godzilla vs. Mothra. It had Terror of Mechagodzilla, Godzilla's Revenge, and Rodan. I was a kid when I got it. I thought it was a great deal, but there's much better versions of all those movies out now, and I'm still glad I have it. But anyway, this is what I have to review of Godzilla King of the Monsters right here. Like I said, it's the classic media case, so it's got the simple, all the cases basically look like this. One picture in the middle with these outlining pictures here. It's hard to tell, the stupid camera, but Godzilla's at the top, and he's coming down in text. Okay. Godzilla King of the Monsters is, of course, the original classic. And I was 4 years old when I was introduced to Godzilla, and I was introduced to Godzilla with this movie, which is strange because most of the people I talked to said that they weren't introduced with this movie because this movie is more dark, and more serious toned, of course, than the other ones, like from the 70s, the 60s and 70s. And those are the ones that usually kids are introduced to because they're fun kids movies. No, my parents were basically just like, you know what, we liked this when we grew up, you might like it too. Monster comes in, destroys the city, kills people, blows stuff up, sets shit on fire. I loved it. And it was probably one of the worst decisions they ever made in their life because, now I'm 10 times the monster junkie that they were. They aren't really monster junkies, they just grew up with Godzilla and they like it, but it's not really something that they obsess over. Well, I come from a different era, and I just love everything monsters, especially Godzilla. I mean, it's the big G, Well, actually, in my brother's G, this would be Gramps. But anyway, we're moving past that. The movie is obviously great. I mean, you can't beat the original classic. It's impossible. But it's just, of course, it's not my favorite. I mean, but it's. There's really nothing I can say about this movie that'll put it down because it's everything in it is just perfect. I mean, I'm only reviewing it. I only review things that I believe that are controversial, but I'm reviewing it because I'm going to review all of my monster movies and maybe even some of my other movies and post them all on this channel. But yeah, that's basically my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. The English version, of course. This version does not have the Japanese, I believe. I think it's just the English. I don't know. It doesn't say on the back, but I don't think it has the original Japanese version on it. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. I understand the importance of original Japanese versions of movies, especially with movies like Godzilla Raids Again, because the Japanese version is just so much different than the heavily edited American reshoot, and it was just horrible. But I like to be able to just sit and watch a movie and just enjoy watching it and enjoy the visuals. I can't enjoy the visuals much if I have to read the whole damn thing. You know, I like I said, I understand the importance of getting the right tone and stuff, you know, and you know what they're actually supposed to be doing, and I get the importance of it. But just having to sit there and read it doesn't do much for me, because I can't actually enjoy the movie if I'm sitting there reading the movie. The movies aren't meant to be read, they're meant to be watched. So, and plus, I think Raymond Burr was actually a good ad for the American version. Same with 1984. He was a good ad in that too. Next up, we got, of course, like I mentioned earlier, Godzilla Raids Again. Oh, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm going to be reviewing these movies in threes, because there's just so many. I don't want gigantic amounts of reviews on my thing. So Godzilla Raids Again, the original Japanese version, much better and much different than the English dub version. The English dub version has the names wrong, it has the roars wrong, it has so many added scenes that are just stupid and ridiculous. Of course, I have this version. I don't think there's any other DVD version of it out there. Crackly opener. No, it's not crackly no more. I always did like that Anguirus. Oh shit. Anyway, this is the, you know, I like how these have the Japanese posters on the front. I think that's a nice touch. But I like the Japanese version of it. I actually, contrary to what I just said earlier, I would much rather watch the Japanese version than the English version, because the English version just has so much shit added to it that just doesn't make sense. The English version is just a horrible movie. It is. It makes all the Japanese culture seem all like poor farmers and shit, and there's just so many bad things I can say about this movie, but I don't have enough time. So English, or not English, but the Japanese version is definitely the best on this. So yes. Oh yes, I will be rating these in 10 out of 10. I would say King of the Monsters is a 9 out of 10, the English version. Godzilla Raids Again, Japanese version I would say is a 7, and English version I would say is like a 3. I don't even know why I'm giving it that much. But anyway, King Kong vs. Godzilla. This was the hype of the time. King Kong vs. Godzilla was the thing to watch, because oh my god, it's King Kong versus Godzilla. There was just so much build up to this movie. It was going to be gigantic, and gigantic amounts of people went to the theater and just were like, what the fuck? Because it was just a silly roller coaster ride of a comedic monster mash, basically. There was, you know, it was funny. It was a funny movie. It was just so much more, compared to the first two Godzilla movies, it was just so much more action-packed, and things moved faster, especially monsters, you know. King Kong always moved, you know, faster than Godzilla, but Godzilla was always this slow, menacing, lumbering figure, and he lumbers through the movie until he meets King Kong, and then he's just, you know, Karate-Zilla, gonna just go all Wang Chung Bruce Lee on him, you know, just, you know, it was a fight. One thing I have to say about King Kong, though, if it was the original versus the original, King Kong wouldn't have stood a chance. I mean, I love King Kong. He actually is above Godzilla on my top 10. And, you know, hate me for saying it, but I just, you know, he just had more of an impact on me. But the original King Kong was like 25 feet tall. So, you know, smush. That's basically what's going to happen. I did not understand it at first, but, you know, of course the fight had to be fair. So they basically gave King Kong a gigantic growth spurt, and they had to have him something that he could do besides just punch him. You know, so they had the lightning thing where, you know, you get stronger with electricity and he zaps you, and I was just like, this is kind of veering too far from King Kong. Yeah, I still liked it. Everything in the movie was just out there, and it's a fun monster mash. I love it. I give it an 8. It's a very, very good movie. I was surprised to come to the realization that I really do enjoy it. I love it. Oh, I got it, of course, on this DVD. I don't know how many other DVD versions are out there, but this one came with a it was a double feature DVD. Well, not double feature, but it was like 2 inside one package. This came with King Kong Escapes, which I'm so glad it did, because I needed DVD versions of both of them. I needed a version of King Kong Escapes because I didn't have any, but I definitely needed DVD both, and I'm so glad I got it. And this movie is just great. My favorite scene in this movie is when Godzilla, he's first coming to shore and the tanks are attacking him. You know, he's in the water coming, and you could just see him just slowly moving through the water, and those gigantic claws. It's just an image that's been seared in my head. Imagine sitting or standing on the shore, just watching this gigantic beast slowly moving towards you, and you know you can't do shit about it. You know, it's just one of those feelings that's just got me, and it just drew me in. You know, and you know, that was, you know, the lumbering evil Godzilla part, and then he met King Kong, and it just turned silly. But it was a fun silly. It was I've said it like 3 or 4 times already, but it was a monster mash. It really was. It was just a roller coaster of a movie. It was great. I loved it. It had brooding parts, and it had just fun, out of the world kind of just excellent. It was great. But anyway, those are my reviews. I did, in this one, I did King of the Monsters, Raids Again, and King Kong vs. Godzilla. King of the Monsters got a 9. I'm only going to speak for the Japanese version of Raids Again, because it's the only one that exists, in my opinion. I gave that a 7, and King Kong vs. Godzilla gets an 8. And I'm sure, you know, if you're any kind of monster buff, you know that King Kong vs. Godzilla does have 2 endings. You know, if it's the American version, King Kong won, and if it's a Japanese version, Godzilla won. I think that's the way it goes. Yeah, that's the way it goes. But, you know, just to please the masses, you know, because if it was released in Japan, then the Japanese are going to want to see Godzilla win, because, you know, Godzilla's their monster. And if it was released in America, then they want to see King Kong win, because King Kong is their monster. So, besides the monsters, my favorite character in the whole movie is Mr. Taco, I think his name is. I think his name is Mr. Taco. He was the guy running the whole show. But anyway, I need to wrap this up. I already got like almost 13.5 minutes. But yeah, that's my review. I'm going to do the next 3 movies right after this. Alright.